decided to go down south to Hanmer Springs for a week or so, mostly to try be normal people, enjoy a road trip with good company, and try to discover some new places. So as the OG Flossie Carter says, grab your popcorn and your fuck juice and get comfortable. So after an early wake up where I somehow wrote film with an H in my hand the night before as a reminder to bring film to actually shoot this trip, I jumped on a ferry, went up to the observation deck, and snapped a couple photos with Portrait 400, the world's most overpriced and overhyped film stock.
5 hours later.
I eventually made it to Picton and met up with my boys, Aaron and Jovan, who had been waiting for me for around 8 hours, due to the ferry cancelling our original sailings and then absolutely cucking them by putting them on a 1 AM ferry and yours truly on an 8 AM ferry. We had lunch, I picked up a can of delicious piss, and then we left Picton, where we proceeded to get stuck behind a rundown caravan for way too long. But with the slow speed, I was able to take this shot at least. After then proceeding to pass the caravan at a definitely legal speed. Power! We eventually made it to Kaikoura, filled up the gas, and then I ended up shooting the worst B-roll all trip. And then shot what would have been an absolute banger, had it not been for another stupid caravan ruining my day.
Me and you sharing jobs again, Jovan.
We then eventually made it to Hanmer Springs, which, as like everywhere else in New Zealand, had a ridiculous amount of roadworks. We stopped at the only supermarket in town and bought a loaf of bread and burger patties, which costed $428, and made our way to our luxury pad that would be our home for the next week, and then cooked up our debt-making patties.
Take a wrap, put it together and you just fucking make it.
Our second day in Hanmer Springs was a pretty relaxed one. I decided to start the day by busting out my Mamiya RB67, or as I've decided to name her, Mia-chan, and loaded up a roll of expired T-Max 120 and shot a few around the house just to get the feel for everything. Overall, I'm pretty happy with how they turned out, minus the first one being slightly on the piss. They were at least exposed pretty well considering I'm using an app on my phone to light mirror everything, because film photography is already an expensive hobby and I don't need to spend any more on it. We eventually made our way to one of the many mini-golf places where I snapped a few photos on Kodak Gold and then asserted my dominance by destroying them in mini-golf. Ladies and gentlemen, I present Chumps. We then decided to try find a swimming hole to break in our new Speedos, and on the way to finding said spot, we found this beautiful bit of land where I asked the boys to stop to snap a few photos, and oh yeah, these shots hit harder than prime Mike Tyson. Okay, maybe not this one because they're ugly, but I forgave them for that trait a long time ago. We then continued down a road where Aaron's off-road me made me scream in the most masculine way possible. We then discovered a turn-off called the Hossack, which Google Maps told us to go down to the swimming spot, but after a quick Google search telling us that the Hossack is prime hunting territory, we decided very quickly to not go down that road and drove a further 10 minutes in the other direction, where we eventually found this puddle and laid down in it to break the Speedos out, and I broke the Pentax out and got a few decent shots. Day 3 started slow, and the only thing of interest that happened was Aaron getting deep into his crack for a scratch. We eventually made our way down the road to do another action activity known as quad biking. Well, here's where I would have a bunch of shots from quad biking, like me flying into a gorse bush or the numerous times I drove off path, but of the 40 minutes of footage I got, 38 of it looks like this. I at least managed to film the very top of where we made it to, so I guess that counts for something. After getting back to the place, Reviewing the footage and swearing a lot after seeing the quad biking footage was a write-off, we decided to get some lunch and I busted out the Pentax with a roll of Lomo Purple before we went rafting in the afternoon. I packed Lomo Purple real hesitantly for this trip, unsure if I'd even like it, but the film truly is sensational.
I was watching
And while I don't have any footage of us almost dying rafting, I do have a photo of us on the raft. And I know what you're thinking. Did I pick this photo because my arms look absolutely swollen, engorged and striated? Yeah! 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 And here's a couple action shots of Aaron flying headfirst into the bottom of the raft and the majestic way that he's able to do things. After eventually taking the wetsuits off and letting the piss drain out of them before kindly handing it back to the man like we hadn't just wet the wetsuits, I got lambasted by the boys for my excellent placement of Aaron's new bumper sticker. Eventually we got back to the place and, as you can see from this nice sped up footage, Jovan and Aaron settled in for a night of gaming while I watched because I didn't bring a controller as per usual. On day 4, to start with, I busted out girthy Mia-chan for a below average photo. Before we went mini golfing, and I loaded the Pentax with some gold or Vision 250D, and proceeded to get this absolutely hard as fuck image of DJ Serb and Vanilla Ice.
How's it feel?
It feels good being a winner, you know? It feels normal. It feels as it should be.
Do you want to interview Veloza?
No, we don't have time for that. It feels good. I'm happy to be here. I was happy with my competition, half of it anyway. The other half, I don't know why they bothered to show up, but you know. What's an extra, minutes rest per hole?
On the way out, I noticed the composition I thought was an absolute banger. And oh yeah, it wasn't, but this one, yeah, it's more bangable. After another overpriced lunch and discovering over the past few days from talking to locals that the actual swimming spot was about 5 minutes further from the puddle that we actually splashed in the other day was, we did a Bear Grylls level crossing and made it to the actual swimming hole. With a bit of free time after mooning Aaron, I decided to take the cameras out for a walk around the town and to a former hospital that's now a part of some revered heritage thing. But my first shot was just outside the thingy and yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I think this is probably my favourite photo from the trip. This photo reminds me of as if I'm a D-grade Ansel Adams, minus the incredible success and the ability to actually take good photos, but apart from both of those facts, it reminds me of him a little bit. After finishing the roll, I decided to load up a roll of Portrait 800 for a shot I saw the other day, which was even better, as there was a dude sitting under the exact bench where I wish someone would be when I came back, and despite all the stars aligning, this happened. Yeah, I don't know what happened here, but this was the one photo all trip I was hoping would turn out, and well, yeah,
ダメだねダメよダメなのよ
5, we decided we had enough of Hanmer Springs and drove a couple hours out of town to Christchurch. We wanted to go sightsee the city and explore the botanical gardens out there. So I finished my roll of whatever it was in the camera at this point and loaded a roll of red scale, as you'll see with these photos in between the few portrait shot videos, because I'm not a professional and, well, if that wasn't obvious enough, I guess.
My bad.
No, you're good. Just trying to get a photo of the ducks. Now, day 6 and 7 is where the action truly kicked off. And by kicked off, I mean we went to the hot pools, we relaxed for a little bit, got a blurry photo of us leaving, and then we left. I didn't bother really filming or photographing anything on these days, mostly because I couldn't be bothered and I'm on holiday. What are you going to do about it? After another early wake up, we said goodbye to the non-bachelor bachelor's pad and made the sad and Silent Hill fog-esque drive to Picton to get our ferry back home to Wellington. We're on the way, speeding through. I snapped this photo with the last shot of red scale. And yeah, I rate this photo, but these baby seals splashing its way through when we stopped in Kaikoura, I rate even higher. Overall, Hanmer Springs and Christchurch as well, I guess, gets a thumbs up out of 10 from me. Being here with 2 of my best mates, that gets a double thumbs up out of 10 from me as well. You know, I always thought the way to get over my quarter-life crisis would be to move to a small town, pick up a job working as the guy who gives the thumbs up, waving people down the slides at a pool, or helps people bungee jump, rafting, etc. But after talking to the people doing these jobs and them saying it's the most boring thing ever, that they hate living in a small town, it's incredibly boring, incredibly lonely. Yeah, I don't think I'll do that, and I guess I'll go back to the drawing board and sit in this inevitable crisis for a lot longer than I'd like to admit. But while I do that, feel free to follow me on Instagram, and if you really wish, you can subscribe and put hateful comments in my YouTube page. I'll post probably not that frequently, I'll be completely honest. But anyway, here's my favorite photo from the trip. I don't know what photo I'm putting here, so I really like the mountains or the people or the whatever else I take photos of, like birds. So follow me on Instagram and go away now.